too many white men in here. Definitely looks like that to me. Zardos is right. We need to get some more. We need to get some more people of colour because, like a good anti-racist, I always notice it's the first thing I notice about people where they're from or where I presume they're from, and I need to write them down and have a nice list because lists are what every reasonable, sensible person likes to do when they're dealing with large groups of people. Like to keep lists. Bit weird, isn't it? Anyway, how's everyone doing? Stop becoming a crap hat and get here on time, you bollocks. I told you I purposely don't come on time. A minute or two after. So I'm not sitting here on my own. Because you don't expect the audience to be early, do you? Anyway, how's everyone doing? Nice to see Paz is in. How are you? Paz. Paz has been, I think he's on his third channel now. Susan is relentless in her pursuit of normal, reasonable people. Fucking Susan. Curse her. They do my head in. You know, I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast and we're talking about our... get a load of this one. They're actually discussing introducing a system where you voluntarily install like a monitoring box in your house and they monitor your internet. And if you've been on the good bits of the internet, not the bad bits. I mean, I don't even know how it's going to work. I'm assuming it's going to be if you spend 8 hours a day perusing the job websites or what, updating your LinkedIn instead of lubing up and flinging yourself around your bedroom because you're just watching porn all day. I'm assuming that they have some sort of system and it monitors what websites you go on. And depending on whether they like the websites or not, they give you more favourable loans. So people are going to willingly do this. And I just think, how thick are you? Like you can get a lot out of people if you give them a few incentives financially. But if you agree voluntarily to do that, I think you're a fucking maniac. It's madness, isn't it? Anyway, hello, happy Friday to you as well, Rotten Politics. Whiskey Straight, we must be here waiting for ages. Your wife must love you. There's no one that you want that haircut. She did my haircut, which explains why you don't think. I'm a 41-year-old married man. Do you think I'm going to pay to go to see Vidal Sassoon when I get my missus to do it with a fucking broken bottle? Of course I am. Well, there's a lot in tonight. I guess it's. I guess you sad bastards aren't out partying on a Friday night, eh? I've got one of those installed. It's called a wife. What is that? An internet monitor? Is it? But your wife's not going to secretly give all of your data to fucking Amazon or whatever it is the plan. But it's a crazy time to be alive, isn't it? It's a social credit system, correct? As people are mentioning in the chat. It's a social credit system for the West, isn't it? Because we'll do it the sneaky way. Honestly, to be honest, I would say I prefer the Chinese way. I prefer the Chinese way. It's because at least the Chinese are just honest about it. They're like, we're tyrannical, yeah? You're protesting in Hong Kong. I shoot you in the face with a baton round, spray you in the eyeball with some CS gas, and tell you to suck me plums. That's the way the Chinese do it. And frankly, I prefer it. Good, honest tyranny is preferable to what we do. Like, you know what I really hate? And this is what I'm going to talk about a little bit today instead of just rambling completely. I've been listening to the hearings about the total collapse in Afghanistan. Miley first went in the Senate, I think it was Thursday, and it's been on the TV a lot out here. And it's just a fucking sham. It's a sham. And this is what I mean. What annoys me as an American now is at least when the Chinese are taking the piss out of everybody, they're overt. They're just like, yeah, Fuck you. We don't care. Like I said, they openly talk about cheating. Just, we cheat. Yeah, it's part of our culture. We're good at lying to foreigners. We take the piss out of you. We don't fucking care. I prefer it to the oily, slimy double speak that our leaders use. Constantly talking about. I'll give you a really good example. So I was listening to it. Joe Biden. In fact, I think I queued up a story. There we go. So excuse the big text, wall of text. It's the Daily Mail, and they like to do bullet points. They must think if it's the Daily Mail, no one's going to read everything. We'll just put bullet points in. We don't need to write any copy. But basically, this is fucking mad, and I'm telling you, this is basically what happened. You can trust Bootneck; he doesn't tell lies. Yeah, I'm as honest as the day is long. Everyone who got up there, as we know, because the CIA and the FBI and the intelligence agencies, Langley, all of these fucking institutions, we know that the people at the very top, they're ideologues, right? The people who went to the top universities and got their heads crammed full of cow shit for fucking 4 years. Obviously, they're not impartial or objective, but the boots on the ground know what they're doing. If you're an analyst, and again, I know quite a lot about this because after I'd been GD for several years in the Marines, I think I've talked about this. I don't often go on about the military stuff because I don't want to be seen to be a fucking swinging the lantern. My channel isn't about the military predominantly. I just happen to be a bootneck. Predominantly, it's political and comedy. But I've just put my chair down and I want to put it up. Hang on. Yeah. There we go. Basically, when I got my SQ, which is Specialist Qualification in the Marines, I applied for Combat Intelligence, which is military intelligence for the Marines, because obviously when the paratroopers and the Army Infantry deploy anywhere, they pull in from every branch. And that's why the Marines are the best at what they do. Because if you're a para, your clerks are Army clerks from the AGC, the all-girls corps, we used to call them. So they're professional clerks. It's what they do for a living. They joined the Army to be a clerk. So they go in the Adjutant General's Corps. If you join the Army to be a driver, you join the Royal Logistics Corps or a chef. And when an Army infantry unit deploys, they pull in these elements from all around the Army. So they have a battle group. Like I was embedded with the Anglicans when I was the Concord, which is continuation NCO, when I was doing INT. I went out to 6 or 7 weeks early to gather all the intel off the Royal Anglican Regiment before the Royal Marines, who I was with 40 Commando at the time, deployed to Helmand Province. So I was out there early with them, and that's how they operate. So it isn't as good. It's not as seamless because they have to pull in different elements from all over the Army. So they get the clerks from the AGC, the drivers from the RLC, MPs from the military police, whatever. They pull them in from every different region of the Army. Obviously, 3 para don't have an intelligence officer because 3 para are they're like the US Marines, right? 3 para eat the crayons. I'm kidding, fellow fighting men of the parachute regiment. I don't take the piss out of the paras. The point I always make is every now and then you get a twat in whatever regiment you're in, and every now and then you get a fucking ninja who's just superb at everything, and most of us are somewhere around the middle ground. So yeah. Downside with that is when you're a Marine, you deploy, we ping people to do things. So you join the Marines, you do all your training, you think you're going to spend all your time stabbing people in the eye and fucking machine gunning, firing a GPMG from the hip. And what actually happens is you get pinged to do a SQ or an ADQual, and you end up having to do fucking storekeeping in your spare time, or driving in your spare time, or fucking being a chef. Which was funny in Baghdad because our chef was fucking massive. He loved doing fizz, and he was the worst chef ever, but he could bench press fucking 500 pounds. It was like, that's the way it works. So that was my SQ. I was combat intelligence. And I spent a lot of time doing my training. So I think it was 19 weeks. I forget how long the course was, but I did like 19 weeks training to do my original CI3s or CI2s it was. And then I spent a lot of time doing additional qualifications. I did like a 2-week course at Chicksands doing my fucking aerial photography recognition. And we did a 1-week long interrogation course. Me and my mate Butch learning how to fucking interrogate people. You do a load of training. So I've probably spent 30 weeks or something, along with all my fighty, wary, stabby stuff, doing intelligence stuff, combat intelligence, interrogation techniques, aerial reconnaissance, fucking shit like that. The people who do that are normal people like me. So if you're like an analyst who joined the CIA, was recruited as just a normal bloke off the ground, all you're doing is spending 6 months doing your training, and then you're a fucking analyst, and you're quite good at your job because you've been trained for 6 months. You know how to do it, right? It's not brain surgery. You don't have to train to do intelligence work for fucking 6 years. That's what I find funny about Bond. Like fucking Bond, have you noticed how he can drive and fly and ride everything? Like you see him do the fucking wheelie in a motorbike, like meh, like he's like fucking Carl Fogarty on a motorbike. And you think, where's he fit all this in? Like he's done all his training. And then he can fly a plane, fly a helicopter, ride a bike, drive a tank. It's like, I don't know how much time you spend learning your fucking vehicles if you get recruited by Special Branch. But Bond can fucking do everything. Right? It takes quite a while to learn how to properly pilot a helicopter. Most people, maybe you end up doing a fast attack aircraft as well, but a fucking Bond doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if he jumps off a cliff without a parachute, climbs into a random Russian aircraft, pulls out of a nosedive and then sails off into the sunset whilst getting a nosh. He can pilot anything and everything. And that's what's funny about it. It's like, it's bollocks. You don't do that much training. It's not a fucking 8 years training to be an analyst in the fucking FBI or the CIA or whatever it is who's compiling or disseminating all of the data. So the boots on the normal lads who are doing all the intel work know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. They aren't fucking stupid. They collate it all. They get it in from all these different sources, signals into human in. I'm not talking out of school here. I'm pretty sure all this is open source stuff at this point. They collate all the data, so it comes in from loads of different directions. You get signals intelligence, human intelligence from people, boots on the ground, informants. You get all sorts of different intelligence coming in here. And then you go through it all, collate it. Again, I've done this fucking job when I was out in Afghanistan. One of the many jobs we had to do as a bootneck. Collate all the different in you get, and you might get it off the ANA, you might get it off the ANP, you might get it off your own lads who are going out on the ground noticing anything. You might get it off the mayor when you go out and have a chat with him. You might get signals in off higher up, off coming out of the fucking donut, whatever. And then you read it all, collate it all, spend a couple of hours going through everything, and then come up with your plan of attack. Teach you how to fucking go through it. Classify by risk, classify by how relevant you think it is, classify by whether or not you think it's accurate or could be accurate. And you compile your little list and then you send it up the chain of command. So all of the people at the top knew that Afghanistan was fucked. Right? And this is what's come out of the Senate hearings, which has made me so fucking angry. Listening to this has made me so honest to God, my piss was boiling in my bladder. I was enraged reading it because we knew what was going to happen, and these lying scumbag shitweasel fucking dirtbags, politicians. Using the mealy mouths, the fucking ridiculous terminology, the slippery speak of the politician, of trying to make out that the whole fucking thing was a total surprise. which is why Biden said this. Do you remember?
Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No, it is not. Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000.
No. Taliban takeover is not inevitable. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. They told you. And when you listen to the hearings, honestly, when you listen to him, Batten on the hatches is going to blow. Seriously, though, I'm fucking raged about this. Raged. Like, normally I can make a joke out of it, humorous rage, but I am genuinely pissed off about this because there's lads who died out there, friends of mine. There was a lad who I didn't even know that well. A lad called Pagey, he was from Middlesbrough. Stockton. That's why I bonded with him. He was in the army, he wasn't a Marine. And we started having a bit of crack when I was in Camp Bastion. And then when I went out to Helmand, I bumped into him there as well. And we sort of got on because he was another lad from my neck of the woods. He was meant to go on leave and then he got killed because he volunteered to stay behind and take Musakala when we pushed an offensive towards Musakala. And he got fucking killed. And that's just, he sticks out in my mind because I didn't know him that well, but well enough where I felt it. But it's because he was a Borough lad, but Stockton, same difference. Also, the lads who died when I was out there. Ben McBean was in my company. I've got some Chad photos of him on my hard drive. He lost several limbs. Dave Marsh, Chippy Thornton, they died in Kajaki, where I was based. And those lads died for nothing. It was pointless. It was pointless. And they love, these slippery politicians love going on TV and going, oh yeah, fucking it wasn't in vain. It was in vain. Everything we did was rendered fucking pointless. So we bled for this fucking sand and we took it and it was ours. And then we just fucked it all off, give them $80 billion worth of equipment, let them put all the women back in fucking sacks, rape everyone, kill every cunt who could get their hands on whoever opposed them, and jobs are good 'un. Jobs are fucking good 'un. No one was being killed. That's what Biden's quote. No one's being killed. Oh yeah, what about the 12 US fucking Marines who got blew to fucking bits? What about them? No one. You might not think of them as people because you're a fucking politician and you couldn't give a monkey's fart about the lads who do the job, but I fucking do. I take it extremely personally, you gibbering, senile shit cunt. That I take it personally. It boils my piss. I swear to God, I was so angry listening to it. I understood the fucking suicide bombers. I swear to God, the hatred was so palpable. I thought if I could end my life just to make sure that I blasted him off the face of the fucking earth and all of his shitbag family while I'm at it, I was like, you know what? I nearly understand what motivates a fucking suicide bomber. That is how much I hate the man. And I'm aware that my perception is coloured and I'm not impartial. Again, I'm not Jesus. I'm not clever enough or transhuman enough to be able to turn the other cheek when somebody wrongs me. And I'm well aware that I'm not impartial. Because you can't do 5 tours of war zones fighting these people and be impartial. So I'm willing to hold my hands up and say I probably shouldn't be as fucking angry as I am. And I'm not impartial. I understand it and I grapple with that every day. You know, I'm aware that I'm not impartial. And it's something you have to deal with. I mean, I've talked about this before. I remember when I was talking to a Whiskey Straight album, we had a chat. I remember telling him, I'm aware of it. You know, nobody expects you to be perfect when you're a soldier. You just have to always do your best. Right? Which is why if you do something minor, like slap a fucking Afghan round the head when you're dragging him off to the cells, you'll get done. You'll get charged with something, but they won't instantly fling you out the army because there's degrees of what you're supposed to do. You should never mistreat a prisoner, and I never did. again, I'm a professional. I never did. Whenever I had a fucking Afghan with a pair of plastic cuffs on, the sack on his head, I was literally give him a fucking bottle of water and leave him to it. I don't care. But you're always trying. And I remember me telling Al that when I was a young lad and I went to Northern Ireland was my first deployment. For many years after that, I had an irrational hatred for Irish people. First of all, because I'm from Borough and I was totally ignorant of how affairs went. Like I said, in my old age, my late 20s and my 30s, it became almost like a fascination to learn more and more and more and more about Northern Ireland, the history of the conflict, the plantation of Ulster, 1607 to 1609, learn all about the history of that country, and now I know it. So I educated myself, and now I look back and I think, yeah, that was ridiculous. It was because I was in bandit country, in the most aggressive and pernicious part of Northern Ireland. Every single person I met was an arsehole to me. I remember being on a knee outside a post office, and a young lass walked out about my age, and I went, all right. And she went, fuck off, you fucking brick cunt, like proper hostile towards me. And when people do that, it affects you. And it affected me. And no one's saying, like I said, I'm not fucking Jesus. Nobody ever told me I had to be perfect. You just have to try. And I'm aware that's what happens to you. So I'm not impartial on the adherents of Alan's snack bar. I'm well aware of that. I don't think most of them are bad people. They're a result of their environment. But again, I'm a centrist, and I really think we should all have the guts to face the mirror when we have a failing, but also face the mirror when we see an inevitable truth. And the inevitable truth is, just because most of them are all right, I'm going on a tangent here, I know, doesn't mean we should roll over and take it up the fucking arse, right? It is, by definition, an extremely conservative, pernicious ideology that gets you by the balls and demands many things of you. And just because most of the adherents, the regulars at Alan's snack bar, aren't jihadis, doesn't mean we should be enabling their behaviour, ignoring grooming gangs, which they do because of their ideology, because they view non-believing women as being lesser than their own. There's numerous things where you don't have to be an extremist and go, yeah, I'm far right or I'm far left, but you just have to face the mirror and see what's happening right in front of your face and go, yeah, we need to be pragmatic and cynical and deal with this in a way that's going to minimise risk. So to drag it back to what I'm talking about, I know that my anger is excessive. But it's not just the anger at the enemy winning and rendering all of our sacrifice pointless. The anger is and this is what I'm talking about. It isn't at that. I know I'm not impartial when it comes to the casualties and the waste of life. My anger is at the politicians. Because they are so willfully dishonest, so aggressively dishonest, that I actually find it offensive. Like I've mentioned this before, if you tell me a good lie, it's believable and it makes sense. It doesn't offend me. I just realise I've been misled when it happens. Go, fuck, he was lying. Ah, well. What offends me is when you tell me the stupidest lie in the fucking world and I'm expected to believe it. It offends me. Like Michael says in Godfather, doesn't he? Don't lie to me. Because it's fucking offensive. Basically, you're patronising me. You think I'm such a gold star dunce. Yeah, Lord of the Dunces. Diane Abbott's fucking queen. Queen Abbott. Lord of the Imbeciles. You think I'm that thick that you can say something to me when I've watched it with my own eyes and heard it with my own ears, and you think you can say it with a straight face and I'll go, I guess my eyes were lying to me. I guess my lying eyes did deceive me. I guess my lying ears did mislead me. That's what pisses me off. That's why Joe Biden fucking disgusts me on this issue. And it's also why, and I'm assuming for all of the 200 people sitting listening at home, That's why everybody despises the media. Because the modern media assist lying politicians. Everybody always hated politicians. They didn't always hate the media. That's a new phenomenon. In the 80s, we didn't despise the media. The general public didn't. Because the media held our leaders' feet to the flames. Now they actively, because they've been subsumed by far-left activists, the media actively assist our politicians with lying to us. And this is just one example I'm going to give you. So, the Mail's like the only one I can find that's pointing this out. Because the Mail's right-wing. But think of the state-owned media. Think of the big ones in the United States. CNN, MSNBC, the famous ones, the revered institutions. New York Times, Washington Post. That is quite the fucking roll call. The amount of Pulitzers between the New York Times and the Washington Post, they probably beat out every other newspaper combined. Once the arbiters of truth, now they are no better than the propaganda arm of the CCP. We know this. We know this. I knew it before the Senate hearings today. I'm just more angry today. We know this because the very fine people hoax. Trump said, I'm not talking about loony white nationalists or communists. There's very fine people on both sides, and it's the fringes that are causing all this trouble. They reported that as Donald Trump said the KKK are very fine people. It didn't happen. Even if you're far left, surely you can concede it, right? Because we've seen the footage. It didn't happen. But they spent 3 years telling us, oh yeah, that definitely happened. Right? Russia collusion. Didn't happen. The only people who were fucking paying them, and even Rogan, to his credit, with a massive audience that he's got, he's probably uncancelable now, he's that big. But he's talked about it. The only one who we know for a fact was doing it was Clinton. So that's another fiction. And the third one is this. This is I've never heard anyone else talk about this, by the way. This is original Angry Bootneck. Because, yes, I've heard people like Rogan talking about stuff like that. But this one, they haven't questioned him about it. Joe Biden, again, the Mail's the only one I could find. When they said to him, so the questioning Smiley Miley, and the Joint Chiefs, and all the fucking boots on the ground, there was lower ranking people than that in there. And every one of them has said, we told the president. Because, again, think about what I was talking about earlier, that the average men and women in the fucking intelligence community, do you think they are that fucking thick that they didn't know what was going to happen? If you do, I'm sorry to tell you that you should probably push yourself into the thick as pig shit camp with them. What you think is them. Anyway, we all knew, right? I went to Afghanistan twice. We all knew. Fuck me. Every few months, the enemy would infiltrate the ANA and brass up a load of fucking foreign allied soldiers. It happened to a load of Brits while they were drinking the tea. Fucking Afghan National Army blokes rinsed fucking 6 of them. Google it. It happened to the Americans loads of times. We all knew what was happening. Anyone who ever went to Afghanistan knew that the second the Americans pulled out, the country was fucked. Because they didn't have the will to fight. And most importantly, as I've explained before, they are very devout followers of Alan's legendary snack bar. So, when they tell them, what you can do is, you can continue with this doomed crusade to fight all alone with no American air support and no allies, or you can just change sides, brother, because you're a brother follower of a fellow practitioner of the world's most fucking wonderful religion. And you can come back into the fold and all is fucking forgiven. Who's not going to take it? A vainglorious death, a pointless vainglorious death, or, yeah, okay, I don't agree with much that the Taliban says or does, but I've got a wife and kids to think about. They'll welcome me back into the fold. Fuck it. Everybody knew that was going to happen. Everybody. And Joe Biden, with a straight face, stood in front of them all and said, no one said to me that I can recall that Afghanistan was going to collapse. He'll say with a straight face, with everybody watching,
now inevitable?
No, it is not. Because you have the Afghan troops have 300,000.
He'll say that. So he went on TV, told everyone that'll listen that nobody told him that the fucking Afghanistan was going to fall to the Taliban when we left. And no one's questioned him about it. Why is the Daily Mail hidden away on the Daily Mail website? The only fucking place I can find. Why isn't every single journalist and reporter, the BBC, Channel 4, Sky News, MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, why aren't they all going, yeah, but you're a liar? Everyone, fucking hell, it's not like the CIA is small. Some of them must be like, well, my brother-in-law's in the CIA, and he told me Afghan was definitely going to fucking fall. Anyone who ever deployed, anyone. There's literally about 10 million fucking veterans of the war in Afghanistan now. All 10 million of them must have told their friends and families and kids and fucking brothers and sisters and anyone who'll bastard listen, oh yeah, the second we leave Afghanistan, it's fucked. And then this baldy piece of shit will go on TV and go, oh, nobody told me that. Oh, really? Oh, really? Has anybody ever told you the grass is green, you silly bastard? I mean, it fucking staggers me. And we've just, another news day, on with the show. No, nobody's talking about it. Nobody's... Gander, I doubt he can remember. Well, he should have at least got a fucking Sharpie out and wrote it on his fucking forearm, the thick twat. Like, I seriously cannot believe it. So, the world's fucked. Thousands of dead. Millions of women now getting one donkeyed into them by a hairy 70-year-old, right? Torture, death, misery, chaos, $80 billion worth of fucking arms in the fucking enemy's hands. They've now got a better air force than the Royal Air Force. The Chinese are going to take over, get all the lithium. Chaos, death, misery. There's going to be tens of thousands of trained jihadi killers flooding into Europe again. So when the next Bataclan or truck attack or fucking London Bridge explosion or little kids getting scattered across a fucking pop stadium, the amount of death and misery and suffering that'll come from this is literally in the billions, not the millions, the billions. Because we're fucking people on every continent. We're fucking people. Literally, when all them fucking granddads get rapey with their teenage brides in Afghanistan or younger, if they're particularly fucking devout, and they want to follow the Prophet's example, they're all fucking 9-year-olds. The amount of misery and pain and suffering and death that's going to result from this clusterfuck should it be enough to curl your fucking toes up. And no one's talking about it. Just blatantly like, nobody told me that was going to happen when nearly everybody on planet fucking Earth knows it was going to happen. And everyone's just like, another news day. Let's talk about giving people dishonourable discharges if they don't get a fucking vaccine. Yeah, just talk about that instead. So I'm fucking enraged. It does my head in. I'm fucking raged. That wasn't very funny tonight. There wasn't much time for comedy because I'm fucking enraged. But sorry, they can't all be smiley, happy-go-lucky streams when the name angry is in the title. At least, right? It's not false advertising. It's not the endlessly comedic Bootneck. It's the fucking pissed off, occasionally comedic Bootneck. All right. So sorry. Sorry, lads. I'll try and chuckle a bit more next week. But fucking, I'm as raged as you can get today. I'm fucking raged, pissed off. I understand the mentality of the suicide bomber for the first time in my life. Matthew, I wished it again. Well, you're not going to miss it. It's on YouTube. You can just press play and it'll start again. Yes, Sadwings, you should apologise. More than me, because you were born here. So it's your fault, my fault. So, yeah, and then they're all down here somewhere. So yeah, fucked. Right, I'm going to have to go because I'm going out for lunch with my missus, and frankly, I like her a lot more than you, right? Once or twice a month, we have sex, and that's much better than any of this text-based shit that you guys reward me with. Although the pints are quite good. the small minority of you that buy me beers every now and then, I like them. Then you're sort of up there. But for the time being, she's winning the argument. All right, so I'm off. Thanks for watching that somewhat miserable stream, and I'll see you guys. I like the chat though. Special air cervix. I like the use of that. What is it called when it sounds like something? I don't know. Anyway, right. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all very soon. Have a good weekend, and I'll probably do another stream Monday. All right. Take it easy.